It is Sunday, the 9th of August, 2015. I'm in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, engaged in my alternative spiritual practice of protesting against Unitarian Universalist clergy misconduct, also known as clergy abuse, and various other Unitarian Universalist injustices, abuses, and hypocrisy, not all of which are related to clergy misconduct, clergy abuse. When I speak of clergy misconduct and clergy abuse, obviously clergy sexual misconduct and clergy sexual abuse immediately leap to mind. But I'm actually protesting all forms of clergy misconduct, both, and I can say clergy abuse as well, because there's various forms of non-sexual abuse that Unitarian Universalist ministers engage in, such as verbal and psychological abuse, abuse of power, and so on. So when I say clergy abuse, although clergy sexual abuse is the obvious thing that leaps to mind, well, I'm also talking about the non-sexual forms of clergy abuse. In any case, it is the first time I've protested in over a month, and it's actually the first time I've protested since the bike lane has been put in here and the bus stop has apparently disappeared. There was a bus stop in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, and it seems to be no longer there. I guess they moved it around the corner or something. And I mention that because at one point, SPVM police officer actually tried to shut down my protest, on the basis that I couldn't protest in a bus stop zone, which is ludicrous. I will add that SPVM police officer was parked in the bus stop zone while he was telling me I couldn't protest in a bus stop zone, and caused at least 2 STM buses to let passengers off away from the bus stop and even in the middle of the road. So that's a little anecdote from the history of this protest. Anyway, I had actually intended not to protest in July and August. I was going to give the new president of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, who was elected at the annual general meeting in June, a 2-month respite from protest, and offer to him to extend that respite if he agreed to enter into dialogue with me towards the end of resolving the conflict. But unfortunately, in the meantime, a member of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, Sue Montgomery, former Gazette Justice reporter, decided to run as, basically to try to run as a candidate for the NDP in the NDG Westmount riding, which the church is located in. And Sue Montgomery, unfortunately, is very involved in efforts to shut down my protest, and he's also complicit in Unitarian Universalist misuse of blasphemy law to try and cover up such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. So I am resuming my protest, and will also be protesting to bring it to public awareness that Sue Montgomery lacks the integrity that would be expected of someone running for public office. Sue Montgomery has been actively involved in attempts to suppress my constitutionally guaranteed right to freedom of expression, including ordinary freedom of speech, but also specifically the right to engage in peaceful public protest. In addition to that, Sue Montgomery was made aware of the Unitarian Universalist Association's false blasphemous libel accusation against me, and yet never reported. Good day, sir. I'm fine.
You got any interesting stuff you got there? You got any facts to back it up? Like,
Of course I got facts to back it up.
Where's all the facts? Where's the facts?
Well, which facts would you like to know?
You're saying here, like, deny.
Cover up and deny pedophilia and rape?
Yeah.
The fact is that on Friday, June 1st of 2012,
Yeah.
I received an email from Stikeman Elliott Barristers Solicitors litigation lawyer, Maitre Marc-André Coulombe, who had been hired by the Unitarian Universalist Association to accuse me of the criminal act of blasphemous libel for allegedly making unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the association engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. What? I'm talking about the head office in Boston. The international or American head office.
Okay. Okay, I agree with you. I think it's good, but you have to be careful about that you really have stern facts about it.
I believe me, I have stern facts, and in fact, you're right about being careful with having facts. Stikeman Elliott should have had the facts before accusing me of blasphemous libel. They didn't. What? I don't need one. It's total bullshit. I don't forget. I told you this was in 2012. This was more than 3 years ago. I wrote back to the lawyer.
What do you think about this Westmount business there, the guy there?
Which Westmount business?
Westmount, City of Westmount, the guy there, the innkeeper there, he felt up 50 boys there. You got that one?
Say that again?
Westmount.
Right.
They also got a case there now, eh?
Right. I don't know about that. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, big one.
Right. So you're talking about pedophilia?
Well, look, the guy was molesting 50 Westmount boys there in 80.
Okay, well that's yeah.
It's good work. But,
right.
But
Anyway, I'm not saying there's a huge epidemic. Yeah.
I like to know. You really got to be careful that you have solid evidence.
Well, put it this way: I said this accusation was made against me more than 3 years ago. I challenged it. I wrote back to the lawyer. First of all, he claimed that I'd made unfounded and vicious allegations about pedophilia and rape. So I asked him. I said, please identify the blog posts that constitute unfounded and vicious allegations. Okay, like show me which ones you're talking about.
You yourself ever suffered under this one?
No, not myself. I blogged about other cases, so I'm not a victim of.
What is your intent here? Is you feel?
Well, the church is definitely trying to cover up pedophilia and rape and other forms of clergy abuse.
Are you intending to sort of defrock them or dismiss them?
No, I'm trying to get the truth out. I'm trying. It is outrageous that a church. I mean, a lot of churches try to cover up clergy abuse in various ways.
We know that.
But it is especially outrageous. Do you know anything about the Unitarians?
Very well.
Okay. Unitarians are known to be very opposed to blasphemy laws because they've been accused of blasphemy in the past because they denied the Trinity. I used to be a member of the church. I was kicked out for complaining about non-sexual. I believe in God, but I'm not attending any specific religion or church. I believe in Jesus as a human being, as a prophet. I'm not convinced he was, the Son of God, etc. I've attended various different churches, yes.
So you're not really satisfied that he's a savior that can save people?
I'm not convinced of that, no. Yeah, I mean, you have to take the word of what's written in the Bible.
You read the Bible?
Of course, I've read the Bible and other texts. I've read the Quran in English, not Arabic. But I've done pretty serious study of the Bible. And like I said, I believe in God. I believe in a creator of the universe. I believe the Bible contains truth, but I believe it also is flawed. It contains myths and so on. So you have to determine, well, what's myth and what's true, So I'm not at the point of good day. I'm not at the point, unfortunately. I'm a bit of a doubting Thomas as far as Jesus, and his own disciple was a doubting Thomas as well.
It's interesting that today in this new age day, everybody's persecuting everybody else there.
Yeah.
Christians in Iran there to get.
Exactly.
A whole bunch of Christians were picked up there and ruled.
Well, there's a lot of persecution of Christians by Muslims in Pakistan as well, and they use the blasphemy laws to do that. And so this is why it's all the more outrageous that Unitarians here in America would accuse a person of blasphemy, because that's what they're doing.
Yeah, but the thing is, the laws, religious freedom is allowed. You can say whatever you want. The trouble is, though, even though it may be a good idea to protest, the problem is that pretty soon we're not going to be able to even do that.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm protesting. One of the reasons I'm protesting is to uphold my rights, you know, and I know about C-51 and so on, but that's it, is this church has tried very, very hard to prevent me from protesting. I've already been charged with other criminal charges, like actually charged. I have not been charged with blasphemous libel because it's total.
Okay, so they take you to court or they...
Yes, I was charged. There's a law in the Canadian Criminal Code, section 176-3,
okay,
that prohibits disrupting the order and solemnity of a religious service.
Okay.
So you're not allowed to disrupt the church service.
Write about it. You can
Yeah,
write a book
but what I'm saying is the law specifically prohibits disrupting an actual church service. Okay. So this church used that law to try and shut down this protest, which is outside the church. I was arrested and charged with that crime, and they tried to use that law to.
I got some ideas.
Yeah.
You got a camera and stuff like that.
Of course, yeah.
Listen, I'm also an activist.
Right.
But I do believe that more interesting to use a different tact, you know, a different tactic.
Well, I use different tacts as well. This is one of my tacts.
Okay, it's good, but you see, nobody's around here, nobody gives a shit what you're doing.
Actually, a lot of people do pass. There's a lot of cars, a lot of bikes, a lot of joggers, and a lot of pedestrians. And there's also the church members, obviously. So, you know, this is not my whole protest. Like I said, the blast. I have a blog, and I'm on Twitter as well.
Can you kind of give me some more information so I can...
Well, the blog is the Emerson Avenger, if you can remember that.
No, I can't. I'm not good with memory, but
okay.
A piece of paper or something?
I don't think well, other than what's on my picket signs, which I can't really part with. But, you know, if you just Google the Unitarian Church of Montreal, and anything like clergy abuse, blasphemy, you'll find the starting point, and then you just go from there.
What is your blog called?
The Emerson Avenger. It's like, you know Ralph Waldo Emerson? You ever hear of him?
Ralph
Waldo Emerson. He was a famous American philosopher. Yeah, poet and philosopher, writer.
Yeah.
So if you just remember Emerson, an Avenger, and you Google that, you'll find the blog. Emerson Avenger. It's easy enough. But blasphemous libel, if you can remember that, and Unitarians. You know, you can.
That's a powerful word.
Well, it is, and it literally, we actually do have a blasphemy law on the books. You know, like Canada has it.
What about homosexuality and gays? What do you feel about that? You feel that they can use that law against you? Blasphemy laws. You can't talk against gays. I mean, if you do.
I don't know. Well, the funny thing is like I was speaking not about gays, but about heterosexual pedophiles and rapists, and they tried to accuse me of blasphemy. I mean, no, they didn't try. They actually did. They've accused me. They just haven't had me charged, and they can't have me charged because it's total bullshit. I mean, if they went to the police and they said, we want Rob and Edgar arrested for blasphemous libel, for making unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect the minister of the association engaged in such despicable crimes, pedophilia and rape, I could prove to the police that that pretext is false and that therefore they're guilty of public mischief.
Do you have any money, I suppose they sue you, have any money to pay off? No.
This is not, that is not a civil lawsuit. This is a crime. I would risk 2 years in jail. 2 years in jail is the maximum penalty for blasphemous libel. So they're trying to use the criminal code. They haven't sued me. They could sue me. In fact, one member of the church recently threatened to sue me for libel for things I said about her. And the picket sign's just over there. And I wrote back to her lawyer and I said, she's full of shit and here's all the evidence, and I never heard from him again.
Suppose you were to do this on Twitter or...
I do, I have a Twitter account.
But they have not yet sued you for libel?
No, they can't. I'm telling the truth. And they know I'm telling the truth.
But can you prove that you're telling the truth?
Of course I can prove the truth. That's what I'm saying.
How do you do that? How would you do that?
Well, for instance, the pedophiles and rapists that I blogged about were convicted. And there were newspaper reports about their conviction. So I can just say, well, this guy was convicted and this guy was...
Into Unitarian?
Yeah, they were Unitarians, yes. One was a Unitarian Universalist minister who lured Tibetan refugees away from their families in India on the promise of a better life in America, and proceeded to rape them over a period measured in years. One of them finally reported. She actually reported not to the police, but to some church members, and the church members reported it to the police, and the guy was charged, and he was tried, and he was convicted. So there's no question the guy was guilty.
Is that the only case?
No, there are other cases, but they're actually pretty good at hiding it. So for every case I know about, there's probably a few others I don't know about, you know?
Okay.
So.
So like I say, good luck and
Yeah.
be careful.
Thank you. Yeah, you too. Yeah.
Sit right there.
Okay.
So that was an interesting chat with a passerby, elderly gentleman, walking away there with his cane, and sounded like he was probably a Christian based on some of the things he said to me. Also a bit of an activist, according to his testimony, which I don't doubt. And yeah, we just went over the basics, and of course he was very concerned about whether or not I have proof to back up what's on my picket signs. Well, yeah, absolutely. I'm very, very careful, especially when you're talking about fairly serious, clergy sexual misconduct, such as what Stikeman Elliott Barristers and Solicitors litigation lawyer Maitre Marc-André Coulombe describes as such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. It helps if you only speak about the cases that you can absolutely prove. I mean, I'm aware of other cases, but I can't necessarily prove them, so I don't talk about the other cases I'm aware of. I speak only of the ones where people are actually convicted. There's no question, if someone's convicted, well, then I have reasonable grounds to believe that they're actually guilty of such despicable crimes as pedophilia and or rape. And I say and or because in some cases we're talking about rape committed by pedophiles. In other words, rape of preteen children. So yes, you do have to be careful in what you say. How can I put it? One of the grounds for libel is that what you're saying is false.